Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Oh, mind you, we can do the chatting screen here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another part. We're continuing with the End of Dragons playthrough. 1 year later, part 2. If you missed it, this is a little project. I've been very disconnected from the game for about 9 months to go back through, see what we think about the story in hindsight. It's a bit of a quicker playthrough, really. Not doing every meta and so on. But there are the new strikes. Of which I have a little bit to talk to you guys about, and a bunch of achievements and things which I didn't do last time. So, do you know what? Let's just jump straight in the game and see what we got. The song just ended. Honestly, one of my favourite songs from the whole soundtrack was playing there, and now it's gone. Not too much has happened since the last part. It was a couple of days ago we did part 1. I will say there was a little bit of Guild Wars news, I think that just came out today, or yesterday, which is DirectX 9. Last year, Jesus, how fast time passes. 2 years ago, we saw DirectX 11. Oh, wait, was it even longer than that? 3 years ago, DirectX 11 became like an opt-in thing. Last year, they enhanced it, or I think right before End of Dragons came out, they enhanced it. They've just announced that DirectX 9 is now being completely deprecated and just being removed from the game. Like literally, if you're not on a rig that can't run DX11, then you're like cut out. And they've got a little post about it, so people have been talking about it. I think there's a bit of a kick up online about it, like, oh, you're throwing away fans or something. But I don't know what big of a proportion of the player base actually suffers from this. It's funny because over this year I've been doing a lot of Stellaris modding, and in one of their discords you like have free contact with one of their devs, and they were talking about like I was doing a lot of UI modding and like expanding planet view and making things look a lot more immersive, and I was in this channel talking about how bad vanilla was. And then it turned out there was I didn't realize, but a dev was there, and they said, oh, by the way, this is because we have to support people who can't play on a higher resolution than like 720p. And I was like, do you really, how many people are playing a grand strategy game on less than 720p? And they were like, yeah, it's quite a sizable chunk. You'd be surprised. It's usually people on old laptops. And anyway, this is what this whole thing with Guild Wars 2 has made me think of. There are probably people on quite old rigs. But hey, time moves on, and I think as long as it's to the game's benefit, then all the better, really, for the rest of us. And that's a bit of a selfish mindset, don't get me wrong, but hey, it is sort of how I feel about it. Speaking of that, I've changed my UI a little bit for the playthrough. Tweaked some settings. I put a bit of anti-aliasing on. I'm really noticing how many jaggies and like crawling lines and things there are in Guild Wars, coming back to it. I've shrunk the UI down a bit, changed some things. I don't know, so it just looks a little bit better. Once we get in combat, stuff will turn on. Also, by the way, an update that happened this year that I'd missed is if you look at my cursor right now, there is a native YOLO mouse type thing in game now. This is a high contrast cursor. You can find it under general settings, I think. Honestly, I can't remember. It's somewhere. But yeah, it's actually pretty good as well. I mean, it's ugly as all sin, don't get me wrong, but the point is that you can see the cursor. I have it set up all on the same hotkey as everything else that turns on all my UI, turns on nameplates, turns on everything, so I just toggle that on. I haven't actually played a world boss or anything to see how useful this is, but I assume it will be pretty good. I don't have it on all the time. But yeah, it's nice to have that natively in the game as well. It's just a small thing, but it's something, I guess, that the game's done in the year since. So yeah, let's continue with the story. Just to quickly recap, we went to speak to Oreen, who told us this is a crazy moment because I can't see what's going on in the future. It's not that I see myself dying, I just can't see what's going on. There's some creature, it's been speaking to me, I want to speak back. I don't know what's going to happen, but you should go check out Gorick because something's going on with him. So we go to find Gorick. He met up with an old acquaintance of his from when they were both in the Inquest. I think this is something that ArenaNet haven't written well enough about, but Gorick was in the Inquest, that's kind of a nasty thing. But they kind of hand-wave it, again, I think because they don't really want you disliking him or whatever. But he meets up with Anka, who was kind of an old crush, an old flame. She's betrayed him. We all ended up chasing a fleet of Aetherblades out here to Cantha. Oreen got struck by a mysterious weapon called an extractor. The leader of the Aetherblades, Mai Trin, didn't seem to want that to happen, but they kind of ignored her. Oreen's now depowered and crashed in a cave. We were stuck in jail for a week. Kazmir and so on, they've all opened up diplomacy, and now basically here we are just sort of getting acquainted a little bit with the land and seeing what we can do to repower up Oreen, who's stuck in this cave. There's this mystery creature that Oreen's been communicating with, who I think, you know, the story's going to hit hard and fast here at the start now. We're going to go back to. This is honestly such an important scene. I had a lot of fun going back to this on my Christmas playthrough and sort of trying to get a grip of it, because it's one of those scenes where there's 1,000 things to think about every sentence that comes out of a character's mouth. It's nice to be a little bit more disconnected from the story, honestly, and just sort of chill for a second and sort of take it more casually. So yeah, let's just see what we got. First, we're going to meet the Empress at the Royal Court, a character that I had really high hopes for in this expansion, and ultimately doesn't really do much, like, at all. Unless I'm forgetting things. But yeah, Timey's here as well, I guess. Hello. Also, there's an achievement. Okay, so up here, there's 2 achievements. If I get these achievements, I'll get my Act 1 thing. See, I haven't even done this. I haven't got this loot. So what we need to do is get this achievement here. All due respect. My God, I just went so American there. All due respect. Follow Kazmir's lead and to be a model of court decorum. So what we need to do is bow, and then we need to kneel at, like, the correct time. Which I might mess up, but we'll try it. We'll do that, and then there's another one coming up as well. There's still a bunch of achievements I missed, by the way. You saw me miss them on the previous part.
Big wig party in there. I feel underdressed. If I knew I was gonna meet an empress...
It's exciting, but a little nerve-wracking. Still getting the hang of this diplomacy thing. So much writing on it. Trade, treaties... Reopening relations with Cantha after 100+ years is gonna be...
delicate.
To say the least.
You got this, Ambassador Meade. Go make history.
Thanks. Whenever you're ready, Commander.
Oh yeah, okay, and so I whined. On my Christmas playthrough, I was constantly getting this pop-up saying, do you want to leave the instance? Do you want to leave the instance? Apparently that's a bug, and I didn't remember it from my first playthrough. Apparently that's a bug that occurs when you play the story with someone in the party who isn't on the same story step as you. And that is what I did over Christmas. There was one of us in the party who wasn't technically on the story steps as we were going. So that makes sense, and that's what I was there. Which means that won't be a problem, hopefully, in this run-through here. Also, we just had a donation instantly. Thank you very much, TB. You love my floppy fish? Yeah, I really like the floppy fish mini too. Thank you very much. I actually did think... Oh, I changed my skins a little bit, by the way, for the start of this. I've changed my staff. Oh, yeah, and build as well. I thought, well, you know, we ran the invocation on the last part, but I'm really not swapping legend much because I'm trying to learn the new skills or whatever. So I've swapped to retribution this time, which is really the only other one I think is going to be super fun. This is a Condi line largely. The other one's, you know, sustaining allies, so it isn't too good. But retribution actually looks like it has some good synergy here with Vindicator because... Here, you can get resolution whenever you dodge, and dodging is a big thing, as you guys have seen. And then the Grand Master is, while you have resolution, get a damage modifier, get might. Pretty good, right? Also, the first minor here is increased endurance recovery. So that, plus vigor, is pretty good. That's like we've hit the cap of endurance regeneration. So... Look, and vigor when you successfully evade. I've taken planar protection as well, which is this dome when we heal. This extra ability, essentially. And what this will do is deflect projectiles and spam weakness, which is really excellent in open world solo content. I love planar protection. One of my favorite things in the game. So yeah, I changed the build slightly. Oh, and I was going to say... looking at the Vindicator traits themselves, we did all the top line on the last episode, but I was mousing over these. Some of these look really good. Like this one here, look. Amnesty of Xingji. So our legend skills give us bonuses, which means might, right? So we get might from Luxon abilities, which is largely what I've been using, which is pretty cool. We can try that out. I mean, that's a 10% damage modifier, but we'll see. I mean, maybe a lot of solo might is good for us in open world here. And then I thought there was a really... This one is gain endurance for each target affected by your dodge. I don't know whether that was really that fun. But which one was it? Yeah, look at this. The Song of Arboreum. Grant vigor to ourselves whenever we dodge, and vigor has an increased effect as well of 25%. So this, plus, I don't know, just vigor itself, I think we can have insane energy recovery. So much so that I might not even need the sigil anymore. But whatever, we'll try that out. I thought that might be somewhat fun. So yeah, okay. There's a lot we could ramble about. Let's get into the story. before people get to. But I've got some comments from you guys that I want to read out as well. So,
Follow my lead.
all right, here we go. Let's try and get this achievement. Ready? I think first we bow.
I appreciate the minister's concerns,
I'm scared 'cause-
Imperial Majesty.
Do you now?
But these mechs are next gen. The very latest model. Upgraded specs, months of field testing.
In a closed environment, with no actual people around to get in their way. Some test.
I also appreciate that the Minister of Security for an island with no contact with the outside world, and thus no threats to its security, has had, by definition, a portfolio unworthy of his talents or his time. His attention to these matters, so unrelated to his own expertise, is generous and greatly
Appreciated, yes, save it. Majesty, this woman is a parasite.
This woman is transforming our empire, Minister. Please afford her the respect her achievements merit. And June, please afford me the respect my throne merits. I do know sarcasm when I hear it. Madame June knows her business. She has served our empire well to this point. I see no reason to doubt her now.
Imperial Majesty.
Of course you'd take her side.
I almost bowed there, but that would have been a sarcastic bow. It's almost a shame we're so far away from Inn, since she's not in it much.
Thought this day would never come. If he were here, he'd die all over again.
The Crichton Ambassador, Lady Casimir Mead. And retinue.
Retinue?
Your Imperial Majesty. Warmest regards from Queen Jenna at this unexpected dawn. A renewal of our ancient friendship.
Not exactly how we remember it. Please relay Cantha's best wishes to our sister, the Queen, whom we look forward to meeting at the soonest opportunity.
May I also apologize on Kryta's behalf for the recent unpleasantness.
Which one? The Sky Pirates flying daily sorties over Xingje? If they're yours, we definitely have a problem.
The Aetherblades are no allies of ours, Majesty. They've attacked mainland Tyria on numerous occasions.
The ambassador was perhaps referring to the unsanctioned arrival of her colleagues on our shores.
Ah, yes. In my father's day, that might have started a war. Even now, it doesn't exactly inspire trust. But in the modern era, Cantha now handles these matters with a more delicate touch.
Which we appreciate. Kryta has no wish to try Cantha's
Too
good-
late. Tyria roils an endless war which you've now brought crashing onto our shores.
No, respectfully, Minister. Kryta has nothing to do with the Aetherblade attacks or the
A
crash.
moment ago you were apologizing for it. Majesty, the outsiders are liars, warmongers, as your father well knew. And your sister, Madame June, has invited them to our doorstep. She doesn't see the threat.
I see the opportunity.
Enough, Lee. I wonder if our open court is the appropriate venue for discussing these matters.
Perhaps the minister would join me in the antechamber, so we might continue the conversation?
He would.
He would not.
I like the grumbling. I quite like Lee in this
Well,
scene.
That went about as I expected. I assume these are the aforementioned colleagues?
One of them, Majesty. The commander here.
Well, she hasn't kneeled yet. Oh, there it is. So we kneel as she stands towards us. Come on, that's not bad. That should be the achievement right there. Don't you guys think? I mean, I did it. I'm going to wait fully until... I mean, if Casimir stood up.
Commander, what are you the commander of?
Nothing, Majesty.
Not anymore.
But formerly of the Pact Alliance.
Ah, yes. I've heard of that.
As I said, Majesty, we know the Aetherblades. We know their ways, their tactics. The commander was fighting them when the airship crashed, and would relish a chance to repay Cantha's mercy. Armed with any intelligence your Ministry of Security may have, we can bring them to justice for you.
Let's hope you're a better pirate hunter than airship pilot. That's acceptable to us. Speak to Minister Lee about it.
Man, the camera there. Oh, well, we got it. We got the achievement.
Well? What do we do now?
Speak to Minister Lee about it.
Yes, okay. Yeah, my god, man. They zoomed me in. That works really well on the other races, but on Norn, I was so tightly zoomed in, I couldn't zoom out. It was like cutting the dialogue windows off the screen, which is one of my most hated, like, outstanding bugs in this. Well, I don't know whether you call it a bug. Just, like, presentation things in the game. I want it to be so that no matter how close zoomed in I am on a character, that white dialogue bubble stays on screen. What the Arena now have it currently set up so that they clip out, and I really hate it, because when I'm doing like Let's Plays and stuff, what I want to do is get right up to the characters so you can see their mouth moves, so you can see their, you know, their hands going and stuff. But if you get too close, you can't see the dialogue now, and I don't know. I just wish I could have both on screen. But whatever. Yeah, well, that works. That's fine. Yeah, Lee. My God, there's so much to talk about Lee. Look, I really enjoyed Lee my first time through, because it felt to me like in all these early parts of the expansion that they were actually telling quite a complicated and interesting story about, you know, this kind of hateful guy, this wrong guy, this you know, isolationist, like aggressive kind of like old hat sort of guy. And I mean, I think the internet is obsessed with men versus women, and there's this whole thing about, oh, the previous emperor's a man and he's bad, and Lee's a man and he's bad, and June is more delicate and she understands, you know, better diplomacy in the way that blah, 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 blah. I'm not really interested in any of that, or whether they were deliberately writing any of that in. I don't really care. What I care more about, though, is, like, I really thought there was an interesting dynamic with Lee, and he's great in this cutscene we're about to watch. But by the end, again, in this playthrough, I'm just going to do spoilers because this is a year later playthrough. They kind of turn Lee into just like a cartoon character, and it's just like, oh, he's evil all along. And they have a really horrible line later where they use the commander as a mouthpiece, and they say, yeah, it was obvious that Lee was always a prick. And that now it's kind of ruined the expansion for me in a way, because I can't look at scenes like this anymore as nuanced, grey, fun storytelling. I just look at it as, oh, they just want to sort of parade around this villain that they've written or whatever. It's just something feels very off about it, because they never really gave a nuanced conclusion to this story. They just basically said, yeah, he's evil, by the way. I mean, they did everything but slightly stop short of that. Oh, he's a member of the purist, blah, blah, blah. It really does become a bit of a cartoon, and it kind of ruins it for me. I don't know. I feel like you have to be nuanced the whole way with it. You have to be happy to leave the story on a note of uncertainty. You have to be happy to not resolve things sometimes, I think. Or at least that's sort of what I think I learned playing through End of Dragons. And I do feel a bit sour now when I do when I see any scene with Lee. I'm like, ugh, this is just boring now. You know, it doesn't feel like there's any light touch or nuance. But we'll see. I mean, that's sort of how I felt at Christmas. I don't know how I feel here as we go through.
It was a simple business transaction.
You wanted this chaos.
Like, I love this scene.
I want Cantha to enter the modern age, to join the community of nations.
You don't care about Cantha. You care about money.
I love this line. I think it's all very relatable and real here.
Both, Lee. It's not a zero-sum game.
It's not a game at all. Why do you think we sealed ourselves off to begin with?
If I may. I get it. Your people withdrew from the world. Now you're rejoining it. There is risk. There is also promise. Our nations have an unprecedented opportunity. No need to waste that over a misunderstanding.
Kazmir's all right here as well. Actually, you know, putting forth good arguments, doing her job well.
Rude of us to air our laundry in front of guests.
Didn't hear a thing.
I love the mocap and stuff in this cutscene too. I remember this came out before the game released, and it really impressed me then, and it did to play it too.
But I'd appreciate your help with something.
Yes, yes. Seems I can't go a minute without someone requiring my counsel.
Right. Anyway, my colleagues and I will be investigating the Aetherblades per the wishes
I'm
of...
afraid that won't be possible. That case falls under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Security.
Per the wishes of Her Majesty the Empress.
The Empress approves of your involvement.
She gave Ambassador Meade her blessing. Consider it an apology for our rude entrance.
As she wishes. Investigate away. The area is crawling with Aetherblades. Your kind of people.
See, lines like that as well, you know, at first, Like, it's so obvious that you think maybe they're going to do something interesting. You know, your kind of people, you know, like these just ridiculously, like, stereotypy, like, sound bites they put in him. And they played off really well on my first playthrough, because I thought, well, you know, that's so on the nose. That's so ridiculous that they're probably going to do something good here. And then they don't. And it's like, oh, that is just heavy-handed. I don't know. So, by the way, a second ago I said June. I meant in. June, by the way, I think gets out of this expansion quite well. I really do like this character. I mentioned in a recent, I think it was a Final Fantasy video or something, that I don't know, I'm such a narcissist. I really relate to June. I really do. And I like her character a lot. She does come across as just this bitch in a lot of ways, you know, very arrogant, very like, I don't give a shit about anyone else's opinions, very like, you know, and she's got a certain talent, but there's like this great scene later where they're like, for God's sake, she needs to listen to other people, she needs to learn to collaborate, all this kind of stuff. I really like her. I think she does come out of this well. Though again, June's whole arc, when you beat her trap house later, you know, and she's like breaking down and, you know, going on and on and on about her innermost thoughts and feelings, it is that thing that I mentioned before, like, where if you play this expansion quick, those scenes come off a bit iffy, I think. But anyway, let's chat with her.
Shame some people can't see this as a pivotal time for Cantha. Even the Imperial Court agreed, with a little persuasion.
I did not realize you'd advocated for us. I assure you, it won't be in vain.
I'm no stranger to cantankerous bureaucrats. But you probably caught that during my Jade mech discussion.
Oh, so they are Jade-powered. You must be using a Jade core as the power supply?
Very astute. The Jade acts as a sort of battery. Using its charge, my tech powers most of Cantha.
Oh, that's so elegant. And here I am powering my golem mods like I'm stuck in pre-Exodus times.
I love that simile.
She doesn't give herself enough credit. She's a very talented researcher and inventor.
Is that so? What's your
in-universe simile and metaphor is just the best, man. It really is. I want Arena Net to do as much of that as possible.
All the time.
Dragons are also a passion of mine. Not to pry, but I hope yours is doing well.
You know about Oreen.
When you're the visionary who powers an entire nation, people keep you informed. If you want, I may be able to help her.
Your tech helped the commander recover, so I'd say it's worth a shot. Look at that healthy glow.
We appreciate the offer, but we'll have to talk to Oreen. Right now, she needs rest.
Of course. Let me know, and I'll make the time for her. Besides, it's not every day you meet an elder dragon.
Wait, what's wrong with the phrase trap house in the live chat here? Sorry.
Lectures on magnetism ever make it out here?
You could say that. I'll have to show you my copy. Notes on every page.
Oh, do you also write sassy comments when you disagree with the author?
There's an entire section in Novi's science journals that I crossed out and wrote, "You're kidding, right?"
Alchemy, don't even get me started. More like Novi's pseudoscience journals, am I right?
See, this is good. This little scene is good on replay here. I didn't think about this over Christmas. But again, if like her arc is her just like brushing off everyone else's expertise, you know, there's a bit of irony, or there's something going on there, I think, in terms of like the meta story of Cantha's isolation, and then June's predisposition to just do her own thing, fuck everyone else. And her arrogance. I think there's an interesting match there. But yeah, this is kind of good because it's kind of fun. Like, oh, look, she thinks she's smarter. But then that kind of becomes the big story later, you know. Well, we need her help. We need to work with her. Not, you know, we all want the same thing, but she has to just sort of chill for a second. But yeah, what's wrong with the phrase trap house? You know what I mean? That's clearly what it is. It's like, you know, one of those, I don't know, what is it, a Japanese thing? I'm only thinking that terribly. This is terrible of me, but I'm only thinking that because of shows like Takeshi's Castle, you know, and all those crazy game shows. But that is a thing, right? Trap houses?
Gorik will be assisting us. He's on an uncompromising quest for justice. His words.
Well, aren't you a couple of busy field bulls?
Rama? You're on this call?
It's an open frequency. Might as well be hosting your own radio show at this point. So you really pulled it off and got Empress Yin's approval. Guess you'll be traipsing through my office soon. Look, you can see the Blade's classified files, but nothing else. Akane'll be keeping an eye on you. Got it?
I will? Ugh, so much for reasonable work hours.
I remember here as well, I remember thinking, oh, this is... Akane's going to come into the story more now. And then she just kind of doesn't much. By the way, random thing, this isn't even about the story. The notification here, there are a few players on the map. I don't know whether it's because over Christmas people were joking about this so much, but I really hate this. I think this notification gives people such a bad impression of the game. Clearly what it is the mega servers are very rapidly spinning up new ones to collect people. However it's weighted is that it's not favouring old maps very much. I don't know why, but the cycling of maps seems to be pretty quick. But the way that they've got this written out, there are few players remaining on this map. It's just giving people the impression that there's a low population. All it does, and this pop-up comes up so much. It's like, oh, there's not many people left. Oh, they're leaving. And, you know, it's got nothing to do with the game's population. It's got nothing to do with how well Guild Wars is doing as a product, which is obviously what everyone's always got on their mind. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just how the mega server system is shuffling people around. It's how players are conditioned via the gameplay. How long, on average, do you spend in a map? Probably only 10 to 20 minutes, generally speaking. So the maps are moving a lot. They need to just changing the wording here. Just don't even have that first sentence there. Don't tell me there are few players. Just say, would you like to move to a more populated version of this same map? Just that one thing, and it would come across so much better, I think. That's the easiest change. The second change would be to actually maybe stop it popping up so much, because it does come up a lot. I don't know what that is. You know, launch End of Dragons had this thing where it felt like every map was goddamn empty. And I think that was in a deliberate attempt to, you know, try and keep it... you know, the less players around, the less likely a hero challenge will bug and stuff like that. But, you know, now it feels like there's this. I don't remember the game being like that 9 months ago. Maybe I'm wrong.
Thanks to our busy friends at the Ministry of Security, we won't
Oh, thank you for the donation there, Cograth. Thank you very much.
Sure we'll manage. We'll start looking around up front here. Commander, why don't you check out the wreckage? We can sync after.
If I so much as smell one of those aerial degenerates, I'm showing no mercy. And neither should you, Commander.
I don't know whether I said this on the last part, but yeah, I still love Gorick in this X-Pack. I think he's really, really, really entertaining. There's no, like, high... I mean, there is drama with his character story as well. There is sadness. There is, you know... there is a lot to chew on with his history with Anka, but they do it in kind of a frothy way, and I think it comes off really well. I don't know whether every character acting that way would work either, really, but yeah, I think Gorick was brilliant in this X-Pack. I think Tami was pretty good in this X-Pack as well. I mentioned her because, you know, the two Asura, and Anka's obviously excellent. It's funny, my Christmas playthrough, I feel like Anka was not in it as much as I remembered, which is a bit odd. By the way, speaking of story here, I did get some comments. Obviously, on part 1, the majority of the conversation was happening in the live chat. I suspect that will be the same here. But I do just want to reassure people, you know, I'll read those comments, and there were some people in them. Someone had a question for me here. WP, it seems you're not interested in any of the legacy characters from the Elder Dragon storyline. My question would be, would you prefer going forward they shift focus completely to new characters? Perhaps as a part of a setup to go into totally new places. It's a good question. I think you're asking me that because... Oh, we do the log boxes here. This is a really good thing. Because obviously I said, like, with Ritlock, it feels like his story is over and I'm just not interested in him anymore now that he's had his happy ending, which apparently is just to make, you know... Well, let's not get into it. And it kind of feels like everyone's kind of in that settled place. I think maybe it might be the right move now. Now that the Elder Dragon story itself is done, I think certainly turning our backs on certain characters makes sense because they're just kind of a bit empty to me now. But as a so yes, maybe we can move on from them. Clearly, from the end of Dragons, that's not what they're going to do, though. I think we're going to see Gorick continue to be a big part of the story. Marjorie and her sisters, it seems, are going to continue to be a big part. Not that I think they have anything interesting to offer at all, but we'll see. They seem like they're going to be a big part of the story. You know, I think we are going to keep going with some of these older characters. But just as a general thing, I think, no, actually, I'd rather we didn't cycle. I'd rather we have a cast that we love... And we know, and they, you know, some of them are arseholes, some of them are, you know, they all have interesting nuance, they all have interesting, like, things going on with them. They're a bunch of misfits or so on, but they're all entertaining to be with, and we stick with them on the long term. I think that is the right thing to do. Keep the same cast the whole time. That's the better way to do it. But as things currently stand, yeah, maybe cut some to the side. I do see the argument, though, that, you know, every expansion you can have a new cast or something. It's kind of like the Guild Wars 1 thing again, though, you know, where it's like those first 3 boxes they sold were completely different stories with different casts. I mean, they kind of did a little bit of mixing up. Factions had a lot of representation of the Tyrian heroes. But, you know, they weren't really characters back then, where they only had a few lines of dialogue. There's not much to go into. But as a general rule of thumb, I would prefer to have the same group as long as possible. But we're at a good moment now. The whole Elder Dragon story's over. They've got whatever they want to do next. And we'll see what they do here. By the way, let's actually slot some legends here. I have no idea how these guys are going to work underwater, but we'll have a look. The dodge is interesting. Oh, this is weird. Look, it's putting me onto St. Victor. Is there only St. Victor underwater? No, that's very weird. Or whatever. Okay.
So Scarlet got this plan. Join up with the Inquest. Get me on the Captain's Council. It's big. I was worried about working for someone else. Never took orders well. But Scarlet, she knows what she wants. Knows how to get it. No fear, no hesitation. Makes sense. You want to shake the foundations of the world? You can't be scared of falling rubble.
This I remember really loving before. Everything about the way that they structured this quest was really cool, because it's 6 log boxes, but I think you only need 4 and then you can progress. It's something like that. There's basically 2 optional extra ones you can get, and there's really good details about Ankh here. The concept at play here, that the Aetherblades went into the Fractals and killed alternate versions of themselves to get their stuff, that's really metal, and that's really like, oh, that's such a cool idea. But I sort of think it's a bit too crazy for me. Like, it's not the main storyline, so it's sort of opening a Pandora's box in a way, suggesting that that's a thing you can do just because you're in the mists. Like, it is really world-breaking, I think, actually, to consider that. So I'm a bit iffy about the concept. Like, I love the concept, but I feel like it needs to be, like, the story. And it needs, like, a lot of groundwork around it to really do that. And to the way they handle it in the expansion, for my first playthrough before, I wasn't to know this. But that thing about the fractals really only appears here. It doesn't really come into play too much elsewhere. You know, maybe there's a slight reference to it elsewhere when we get to Arborstone or something. And the Anka story concludes.
Portal's offline. Hull's compromised. Missing about 100 unique parts, and that's just us. Other ships in the fleet are just as bad. Captain! Captain!
Scarlet's dead. And the commander...
Killed her, I know, I don't care. Captain, pull yourself together. The crew can't see you like this.
Scarlet was supposed to...
Captain, you have maybe 10 seconds before the crew sees you like this and loses all respect for you. We're trapped in the mists, and they need a leader. So, lead.
You're right. Organize the crew. We start working to fix this right now.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm a real drag in this show. I mentioned in another video this week that I felt really bad after I did part 1. I feel like I'm a real drag with this. You know, I'm just like putting on such a critical hat at every little bit. Hopefully it's entertaining to watch, I don't know. But to continue that, my Trin, I don't know, man. I still don't really like what they did with her in the expansion. It feels like they wanted her to be a really nice, sympathetic character or something. She wasn't. So they said, fuck it, let's just recharacterize her. And I really don't sort of like that much. I don't like this scene where it's like, oh yeah, this cutthroat badass pirate that was a villain before, by the way, she was weeping and crying after we killed Scarlet. You know, throwing those little storylines and stuff in there. I have no problem with characters like that, but recalibrating someone like my Trin, like quite shamelessly like that, I'm not really that into it. And obviously the thing is now they've gone back with the Living World Season 1 re-implementation over this year, and they've made it consistent. They've also tweaked my Trin from back there. You know, they've added those extra little bits of dialogue, they've revoiced her. So I guess the game is consistent now. So maybe I shouldn't whinge about it, because, well, what's there to whinge about? I mean, that's just what her character is now. But I still feel a bit off-put by it. I still feel like, you know what? If you're going to put Mai Trin in the story, have her be, you know... What would have been so bad about having... I mean, would the story completely change if she was still more of her old self?
I know where you're going with this, and the answer is no.
We have no other choice. How else do we get the part? How?
What you're saying is, we travel through the fractals in the mists, find our past selves, and steal from them?
That's not possible. And even if it were, wouldn't we just be screwing up our own pasts?
They're fractals. Echoes of pure potentiality. Our own pasts are secure. We'd just be exploring the alternative.
Fractals are inherently unstable. We can't waltz around the mists wherever we please like it's South Sun Cove.
We would have to travel to dozens of fractals. Stable fractals.
Hundreds for the right parts. Even then, using those parts could have unpredictable results.
I love that laugh.
And you're okay with this? Fighting, maybe killing yourselves hundreds of times over?
I ask again. How else do we get the part?
Or just...
Hey, Jory. I found a few recordings, but no leads. Who knew pirates had so much drama?
Tell me about it. Just keep looking. Think we might be onto something. Gorik?
Gorik's great there.
I'll call you back.
Yeah, I like how my Norn's reaction is just to be like, oh, this is drama. Like, what are you talking about drama? That's insane. That's so metal. That's the craziest thing. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit weird when she's like, I ask, how else do you get the parts? You're in the mists, right? Like, I mean, there's any number of ass pulls that they could have had. I like the idea of the story, at least, though. I mean, it is cool. By the way, yeah, in the live chat, Paco saying you do tend to sit in criticism mode, just an observation. Yeah, I know, I do with Guild Wars. And, you know, that's the thing, like, I think I said recently that, I think it was in a Tomb Raider video. We were talking about, like, okay, if you could wipe your memory of any one thing, what would you do? What would you wipe, you know, so that you could experience it fresh for the first time? And I honestly, and we were talking about all kinds of TV shows and films and things. I honestly said, I think it's Guild Wars. I think I would do Guild Wars. Just because I don't know whether I could totally trust that I would love it like I did, you know, moving into it back in 2012. But, I think you'd get such a rich experience of it. I can't just sit back and chill, like, enjoy this game, like, on a really superficial level anymore. I just don't think... I don't think I'd get anything out of it. If I wasn't sitting here wondering about the story and wanting to improve it and sort of give my take and stuff, I don't really know what I'd be getting out of playing End of Dragons. I really don't. So I think that's a part of it, really. You know, I really wouldn't get much just sitting here playing it just for the sake of it. I don't know whether that's a me thing or that's a game thing or what, or if I should even feel bad about it. By the way, I know I'm not dodging much. I'm just trying to get used to the animations, especially the skill 3. It's weird, right? Like, it's a rush, but it doesn't really rush me far. It's more like a little dive, and then... And I don't know if there's an enemy there, it will rush me more or what. All right, let's grab this.
Everyone all right? Stand up.
One ship unaccounted for. Was that Kralkatorek in the mists?
What's an elder dragon doing in the mists? Huh? What's been going on up here? And where the hell are we?
I'm checking. If that's Alona, that's the Skarn. Cantha.
Cantha? No. Ivan, you said we'd come out over the Crystal Desert.
I was performing very complex calculations while also being chased by an elder dragon. So cut me some slack.
Calm down, everyone. Anka, Ivan, see if you can get in touch with the other ships. Renyak, gather our supplies. Guess we're about to find out how Cantha's changed in the last 200 years.
This is really good. Are you going to talk, Norn? God, that sounded so horrible, didn't it? That one's really good. It gives you a very clear sense for even the most casual of players. Oh, this is exactly when the Aetherblades arrived. I remember playing that moment in the story where Kralkatorek was in the mists. It also gives you a really good... I don't know about you guys, but for me, a really good mental image of exactly, you know, what they might have been experienced being chased by Kralkatorrik. Again, it's this thing where it makes the mist seem a bit small or whatever, like, oh. But I don't know, that Kralkatorrik rampaging through them was a fairly big event, so maybe it's natural that they came across it. But yeah, so it gives you a very good sense of exactly when they came to Cantha, how long they've been here, what parallel story was going on during the Icebrood Saga and all that. I think is really, really cool. Oh, by the way, okay, we got a donation here, which is going to send me on a bit of a tangent. Michael donated $10. Thank you. Thanks for these donation, guys. I really appreciate it. I know you haven't played much the past year, but it's wild you haven't done the new Strike CMs. Legitimately the best group content they've made in years. Extremely well designed and difficult. Yeah, you know, Strikes as a format, I did a lot of during the Icebrood Saga. You know, where they weren't balanced that well, blah, 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 blah. But I still do think that Strike... I don't like 10-man, but just in terms of the logistics of getting a group together. But I do think Strikes are great, you know, just like a single little fight. I think back to the original Raid Wings that were coming out and, like, how annoying it was to make a video about it because... You know, there was so much to talk about every fight, and it was 3 or 4 encounters all at once, and it was just like... But a single encapsulated little strike, I think, yeah, it's a really good format, and I want to get into it. To that end, okay, in the previous... I've got a big thing that I want to announce here to you guys, hopefully, anyway. Like, in the previous part, if you remember, I mentioned... I haven't done the strikes. I want to do the strikes, but the problem is it's 10-man, and I really don't care about setting up a group. Well, someone I used to PvP with has come out and contacted me and said, hey, yeah, I'll do that. I'll set up a group. Just let's get me the players and we'll do it. So I've had a little bit of a talk over the past couple of days. I'm going to try... It looks like it might happen. So basically what I'm saying to you guys is if you want to do the Strike CMs that came out this year, like I do, if you want to like prog through them and beat them... I'm running a team and I would love to fill that team. I'd love to do it and I'd love to make videos about it as well. I don't know whether they'll get exactly into this playthrough or what, but really I think it would be very cool. Here's what we've settled on, okay? So basically, if you go to the Spud Discord right now, there's a link in the description. In the Discord, I've set... Oh god, did I set up the channel? Did I get distracted in the middle? No, I'm setting up the channel now. I got distracted. EOD CM Strikes. There's a text channel there. Okay, I've just made it in the temporary channels section. Just go to the Spud Discord and type in there saying hi that you want to do them. The idea we have, okay, is we're going to meet up for a very... It's going to be 2 hours, okay, which is not a long time. It's basically the length of one of my videos, essentially. We're going to meet up, we'll get in Discord, and we'll prog, and then that'll be it for the evening. But we're going to do it... Now, here's the catch, okay, and we'll probably filter people out a bit. We're going to do it every evening, okay? So if you think you can do that in the evening, just come play a couple of hours of Guild Wars, and then that's it. The idea is it's bite-sized, but it is every day, so we will definitely make progress, and we will actually... go through them, and you know, we'll see my training and I'll get a video out of it. I'd love to... see, I've never done this thing where I've actually done the raids and the strikes and stuff with the broader Spud community or just people who have been watching on YouTube. You don't have to be like, you know, some like long-standing Spud member or something. You can just come on in. If you like the sound of that, that's the only thing that it is something we want to do every day so that, you know, we actually make progress. Because in the past, what I've found is if you only meet once a week, if you only meet twice a week or whatever, but for like a lot of hours, not only is that a pain in the ass to like carve out a huge chunk of the day to do it, but like people forget what week in, week out. But if you play every day, it's fine. Also, for me personally, I know for a fact that I start playing worse after 2 hours. I don't know whether you guys have a different threshold, but I know for a fact, like, I'm pretty good, but 2 hours later, there's definitely brain drain, and I start, you know... And depending on the game type, you know, sometimes I'll just push through it, whatever, and, like, grind PvP all day, even though I'm playing like shit. But for 2 hours, I think, you know, it's pretty good. So, yeah, it's just in the evenings, 2 hours, we'll just hang out, we'll go for it, and then go again. So... yeah, just go say hi in the chat. When I say the evenings, by the way, I think the specific time we're thinking of is 7:30 UK time. I think it was 7:30 UK time. So it's just 7:30, log into Guild Wars, play a bit, and then you're out again. So hopefully that doesn't mess with people's work or people's schedules and stuff. So hopefully it's accessible in that way. And yeah, so what we would need is 8 people. That's all. We just need 8 people. You go in the channel, you say hi. And if we get those 8 people, basically, this guy Cougar, he's done a bunch of the CMs before, and he'll just say, okay, here's the builds we're looking for, play the builds, and we'll just get together and do it. And it could be fun and quite simple. Of course, if we don't get the players, we won't do it. And so I want to be clear, I'm not really the leader. I'll be there, but I'm not like, you know, like that was kind of the point. I didn't want to, I was too selfish to want to, you know, set it all up and so on. So, you know, I'll be there just like everyone else, sort of being given a build, and we'll go through it and we'll see where we get to. Harvest Temple is apparently by far the hardest thing ever added. So I'm interested to see it at least and see how it goes. It is the final moment in the End of Dragon's story, which is pretty cool, I think, that finally there's really good difficult content to go with it. So we'll see how it looks, and it'll be nice. You know, I've had such a long break from doing any of that kind of content because of the aggravation of 10-man. It's nice to sort of just be able to say, sort of look back into it. So yeah, that's the idea. And also much better than regular raiding where it's multiple encounters together. Once you've cleared it, you know, and you get the rewards and you feel good. So there you go, that's the idea. Let's listen to this now.
Full disclosure, I'm now recording this conversation for posterity. And let the record show that Ivan does not like what First Mate Anka is insinuating. Not one bit.
Relax, moleface. I'm not insinuating anything. Even an obsequious, brown-nosing bootlicker like Ivan must have noticed how much time the captain's been spending among the Canthans.
She's, what do you call it? Casing the place.
The crew's getting restless. We should be ransacking the locals. Dare I say, even committing a little bit of piracy? Instead, we're hiding in these ruins up to our ears in seawater and hungry risen.
We're not hiding. We're strategizing. You want to pillage the most technologically advanced civilization on Tyria without a plan? The captain's got a connection in Cantha. That's our in. We do a couple of jobs for this Canthan, earn some trust, and then we make our move.
This all comes across way better on a second playthrough for me. Way better. To actually know exactly what happened with the Aetherblades, you know. To know that the Canthan they're talking about is June and all that, it really reads a lot better. It's a lot less confusing. It's a lot. In fact, as well, what I really like is when we get into the city in a minute and we see like, well, not a minute, you know, by the end of the episode probably. And we hear about, you know, Anka associating with the Harbingers and messing with Zaitan magic. I really like thinking of all that in that scene there. No, because I can really picture them there in the city now, you know. I can really very clearly see it. So, yeah, that's a good one. I guess it's actually 8 voiced things here. I've noticed actually a lot of the Aetherblade story is told here in this one story step. Like, a lot of it is told. And quite rapidly, too. I mean, you kind of get all the details you really need. But yeah, by the way, with the strike mission progression thing, you know, the thing about doing it daily, for me, it's something I want to... You know, I want to play it, I want to get it done. I'm not looking for some, like, forever, long-term, you know, like, this is a drag every week or whatever. We're just going infinitely. What I want to do is get in there, get the CMs, and get out. So to that end, I'm really interested in, you know, actually putting some time and some effort and some energy into it. And if it's hard, then fine. That's why I kind of really like the idea of daily, you know. Like, because some of that stuff isn't easy. I think it all starts out very easy. But so, you know, it's better to have people who are actually committed to really doing it rather than just sort of casually chilling around. This is a good fight here, by the way, because I'm getting beaten up and I'm actually getting a sign of how difficult maybe the game is. Why am I getting hit so hard? Is it because he's an elite? See, the 3 is so odd. I mean, I need a target. I've got to get used to the other buttons as well. Also, the camera is so annoying right now. I'm not very impressed by Vindicator here right now, by the way. What, 1 elite and it suddenly becomes... I mean, what is it I'm doing wrong? I'm not using the 3. I'm obviously not weapon swapping. I'm not using my, oh my god, look at that ability.
It's so quiet.
I think if I didn't have weakness up there, that would have been really nasty. I think I was just eating some kind of, like, special big animation. I really need to learn these skills so that I can get back to actually looking at what enemies are doing. Alright, so yeah, there's 2... Oh, no, this is for the end of the quest.
Explain this to me again.
She needs a kind of dragon expert.
She has every possible resource in Campa at her disposal. Why does she need us to find her a dragon expert?
Apparently, they're in short supply, so she needs us to import one.
A dragon expert?
Yeah. I was thinking you could go to Radisson, maybe ask...
I know someone.
What?
I know someone.
Think they'd be willing to come?
No question. I know exactly what he wants to hear.
Poor Gorick. Poor Gorick. And you hear how sweet talking she was at the start of the expansion.
Found our lead.
I'll take that.
Hey! Know how long it took to find that thing?
Alright, I want to get the 2 optional logs, I really do. I think they're a little bit tricky to see. I'm going to sky scale to get sort of an advantage. Okay, well, there's one. That's not too bad.
2 seconds holding this gun. I can already tell you, you'll never get a career in that.
I know the sight's off because I'm having trouble shooting things. That's obvious. My question is, can you fix it?
Maybe. Depends.
Renyak, this doesn't have to be tedious.
The others. What do they say about me?
I don't know. That you're insecure?
Anka!
Ex-slavers like you don't get by on personality. You want to succeed in the Aetherblades? Get results.
All right. Ow.
At this very moment, you can start by fixing my gun.
Renyak's a really weird one. I still, even on, this is my 3rd playthrough now, I still kind of get him a bit, like, in terms of the quality of his voice or whatever, I get him a bit confused or a bit mixed up with Ivan. He doesn't really, he's a Char, right? I feel like in none of his audio, he really feels like a Char to me. But the weird thing as well is, like, this feels like there's nice character development for him and stuff. But he's just the meta boss here, isn't he? I don't remember there's much story about him in the meta. Don't we kill him in the meta and that's it? Like, he's an odd character. I don't know how well he really fit in. But the cool thing in this, though, by the way, is her talking about how the sight on her pistol's off. And later, when, remember, spoilers, when she kills my Trin in that cutscene, she looks down on the gun, she says, sight's still off. Remember that? That's a nice little moment here to remember. It's like, oh god, yeah, they actually referenced the sight being off ages ago earlier in the story. I like that a lot. Alright, so that's one, and then the other one, it looks like this circle still hasn't... I mean, I think you've got to get inside the ship, don't you? Or you can activate it through the floor of the ship, something like that. I forget where the actual entrance is. It's somewhere down here. Yeah, look, it's being highlighted for us. I can't remember how... You can get in there, but you can also press F through the wall, so I'll do it that way.
I see him again. I hated Gorick once. Resented how oblivious he was to me, to the world. Now, I don't feel anything.
What a great line this is.
Sitting on these crumbling ruins at the edge of the world, I'm looking out at emptiness. We're like ants, scuttling through life until we die. And then nothing's left but bones and rubble. The stars, the gods, the dragons.
Look at this. Stars, gods, dragons, all in one line. Oh, I'm in love. That's such a good line.
Existence. Screw it. I won't be around him.
I'm somewhat aghast that this is optional dialogue that players can miss. I think that's some of the best, audio in the game. Do you know what I honestly think, guys? That whole sequence there, that conversation, well, not, that log, that diary, that shouldn't have been a part of this quest. That should have been audio that you hear after you beat Anka. That should be audio in the little cave, in the little room after you beat her. It would be a little bit, I don't know, like cheap or on the nose or something, a bit that you beat her and then you just hear her innermost thoughts afterwards. But whatever, a bit tropey or something, a bit cack-handed, a bit lazy, sloppy. I don't know what the word is. But they should have, I think they should have done it anyway. I think that line there, after you beat her, would have been excellent. Either after you beat her or right before you beat her, just so that players fully understand her motivation. as her story comes to a conclusion. Because the big problem, I think, with Anka in this story, as much as I like her, and I think she works well in Ender Dragons, it does end really suddenly, I think. It's very abrupt. Like a lot of things in Ender... We'll get there, obviously. It is abrupt. And I think that even if you were one of the players that diligently came here and heard that extra audio recording, it's a distant memory by the time you get to Anka's actual death. And that's just everything about her right there. I think it's so good. That line, "I won't be a rounding error," it's so evocative. It's brilliant.
I'm scared of you? Some little rat thing with pointy hands?
Well, hello, Commander. Say, didn't you just beat this gentleman's friends to a pulp?
Yeah. Looks like I forgot one.
We found him roaming around out here. Seems he was piecing this together. I recall Blish using similar components in his portal research. Appears to be a
all the little
tool for
Blish references are good as well.
Shame if we accidentally dropped it off a scenic overlook. And I hear the mists are lovely this time of year, too.
Careful with that. We need... Fine. What do you want? Make it quick.
Anka cited a professional interest in Elder Dragon research, namely Oreen. Care to elaborate?
You're asking the wrong guy. Anka does the dragon stuff. And maybe my tring? Who knows anymore?
Sounds a bit uncertain.
'Cause it doesn't matter. There's better things coming. Big plans. The Jade winds are a-changin'.
Care to elaborate on these big plans, Air Fiend?
Rude to my associate and off topic. Commander, would you teach this bozo some manners?
Sure I can. I got a pick of this. Guild Wars 2 is a movie franchise, and FF14 is more like a TV series in terms of story formats. I really don't like the thought that anyone would forgive Guild Wars 2's shortcomings based on an analogy like that. I think that's awful. Because the truth is, both games are games that get story updates throughout the years, are trying to hold on to a fan base based on quality of storytelling, and have accented moments where, you know, they do a big box and there's a bigger I think that's wrong on so many levels. Final Fantasy feels like a movie when it wants to. You know, when you get to when I got to the end of Shadowbringers and I'm seeing visions of the original Mega Apocalypse before Emmett Selk's true form is revealed and all the light shows going crazy and stuff, that feels like a movie. That felt more like a movie than anything, well, not anything Guild Wars has ever done, than a lot of what Guild Wars has done. What's the most cinematic movie? And when I say cinematic, I don't just mean in terms of presentation. I mean how all the stories crescendoed. I think one of the Guild Wars 2's highest moments was outside of an expansion. It's the end of Season 4. I don't think that's really fair. I think they're both... Neither of them are like movies. Neither of them are like TV series in a way. I think it's just completely flawed. I think it's like I said in that video comparing the two games. I think Guild Wars just has a lot to learn from Final Fantasy. Because almost everything about Final Fantasy is worse at a surface level, like its presentation and stuff. But it manages to build to something so much greater. Anyway, I don't want to get bogged down talking about another MMO here. Let's convince this guy. This is a nice little bit.
Keep walking, sunshine.
Look, see, look at how often this pop-up comes up. How many times have I clicked this? It's crazy, right? What are you going to do? Look, you know who I am. Let's not make this difficult. Let's break this fool's kneecaps. Let's go with the kneecaps.
Good thing my knuckles healed from smashing all those Aetherblade skulls.
Whoa. No need to get violent. I don't know what the plans are, okay? Just heard some higher-ups mention it. Look, I fixed stuff. Clean the galley. Might run a few errands. Nobody's telling me nothing.
Gods, we're beating up the maintenance guy? This isn't helping anything. Let him go.
Can you just give it back?
Yeah! Korik!
Damn it! What'd you do that for, you little dweeb?
Seems to have gotten stuck in these pointy hands. I could probably repair it quite easily, but I have work to do.
You thought that this was their final piece in the portal storyline? That's going totally over my head, really?
Lock up at some point. She really doesn't like working overtime.
Detective, can you please stop hacking our private communications?
I'm not hacking. For the love of... Commander, if you want those files, then they're waiting at the MinSec office. Don't try any funny business.
I understand. I'll be there soon.
I like this little sub-story here, this little subplot about, you know, how these people here are a bit more technologically savvy and so can be on the airwaves with us or whatever. I think it's a fun little moment. I think it lasts through till the start of Kaineng, doesn't it?
I guess we got a lead out of him. A little cryptic, but I can work with it.
I've never felt so alive. Now I know how the mantis feels as it closes in on its prey.
Take it easy, tough guy. That was pretty badass, but there is a certain finesse to this job. We'll practice. You can try being good cop next time.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of conversation in the community. I don't know what you guys watching live or in the comments later think about this now. There was so much conversation in the community about the swearing.
So when are you stopping by the MinSec office for those files? Connie's got to lock up at some point.
Yeah, why are you replaying this dialogue for me? I know, I'm coming.
Can you please stop hacking our
yeah, the swearing. I don't know. I think it's fine. The only issue I have with the swearing, like hearing Marjorie there say badass, it's kind of the I need to be smarter here. But you know, it's what I'm talking about, all the like modern contemporary real world stuff where they're wearing glasses and, you know, I think it's pushed the fantasy into a bit of a different place that I'm not really interested in. And hearing Marjorie use a term like that, I don't know, again, it feels a little ill-fitting with what I consider Tyria to be. And maybe I just need to sort of adjust in my head what Tyria is now. But, you know, that aside, I don't really care if they're swearing. Actually, no, I do care. I like it. I think the swearing is alright. I think it served this expansion well. But often when I read, like, polemic review about this expansion, is people sort of sneering at that. And I don't know what that is. I mean, is that bad, really? I don't know. To me, I think it's valid language like any other, and I think sort of it's good for a bit of emphasis sometimes. I would be perfectly happy. I'd very much enjoy it if they kept like the swearing at the level that it was in End of Dragons. I don't think they went too crazy with it, for what it's worth. I don't think they overdid it. I'm looking at the minimap like a complete idiot here. Totally incapable of talking and playing at the moment for some reason. I think it's all fine. I mean, what's the worst word that they even use in this? Do you hear the word shit? Wasn't the craziest moment in the Icebridge Saga anyway? Didn't Ritlock nearly say fuck at one point, but he like cuts himself off? Was that the line? I swear that was the thing. Or maybe it wasn't fuck. That might be a bit serious, especially for Americans, I think, you know, which is obviously where it's developed, and they're a bit more prudish about that kind of stuff. But there was some kind of, was it shit? I think the word was shit. Oh yeah, Bangar says mother. It was fuck. It was. There you go.
What would they do without me?
And there I am, you know, judging about prudishness. I'm totally wrong. All right, Akane.
Akane, right?
Dang nabbit. The game said dang nabbit.
Okay, yeah.
Outrageous.
That's totally interesting.
I'm gonna dig through your archives.
In the back. Knock yourself out. Ooh, I'll be keeping a close eye on you.
Search for any relevant files. My goodness. What was my other thing? Tagging the tag. Find the marker for the Aetherblade cave. That's in a minute, isn't it?
Is that what you were looking for?
Officers of Luxon, Kurzik, and Tengu backgrounds, the Ministry of Security Public Relations team is looking for volunteers to promote MinSec as a safe and diverse workplace. Please, like this here, right? Like, Tyria's edition of affirmative action is, I don't know. I guess the studio really wants to talk about this stuff, but it feels weird to me to pair with this setting. I don't know whether I'm that interested in, but I don't know. You know.
Remember, some of those files are super off limits.
I mean, that's obviously not a main story thing anyway. Incidents of violent crime have increased 1,730% as we continue to deal with the presence of mainland Tyrian criminals. Situation is under control, but Minister Lee has filed a request with the Imperial Court for a 15 million gold budgetary increase. I love that we actually get a quantity here. This request is still pending approval. A slight uptick in Dragon Jade malfunction complaints. 17 dangerous incidents reported during this quarter. This is weird as well, because I think what this is doing is it's sort of on another layer. It's talking about how peaceful and like enlightened the people here were, right? And then the Aetherblades come. Either that or they really are terrors. Personal reading material of salacious nature is not suitable for the workplace environment.
Those files are so old and boring. What do you even want from them?
Madame June is the owner of Junlai Jade, formerly known as the Junlai Guild. She shares a blood relation to the current Emperor of Cantha, Empress In.
The valuation of Jade's assets are estimated to be about 3 billion gold across all holdings in Xingji, New Kaineng, and the Jade Sea. It's interesting to think that players of what's the richest that anyone's been so far in this game? The company was investigated last year for illegal dumping of dangerous or hazardous materials in the Aetherblade, but the case was closed when Madame June settled with the Imperial Court for an undisclosed amount. Neither June nor Junlai Jade have been officially indicted with any charges. This is an interesting story that maybe this is my ignorance. It doesn't really go anywhere, does it? I mean, this is a thing that I really liked about June, this like kind of mercenary side of her, the side of her where she does like, you know, all this illegal dumping and sort of the industrialist just chasing gold. The way that, like, Lee pegged her in that cutscene earlier, I really like the idea of a character like that. And here, this kind of nepotistic idea that she got off the hook because of In is really awesome. But I don't remember if they expand on that in any way.
Cog skull, huh? The Aetherblades must be marking their territory.
Investigation of foreign pirate activity has thus far encompassed Xingji Island. We're unable to ascertain the location of the hideout, but concerned citizens have reported sightings of suspicious markings. This is like in Guild Wars 1. I remember, like, you read the factions manual and it talks about, like, the Corsair, you know, iconography. The common description seems to be a cog or skull with a sword in the foreground. This may be some form of communication for the criminals of this organization. Sketches of these markings have been sent to the Ministry of Intelligence for analysis. Let's see real quick here as well. The last... I'm always so satisfied to see how much value they get out of the law book UI, by the way. Oh, we can't see the last one, I guess.
Got what I needed, I think. Thanks for your help, Akane.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. Leave the office.
Hey, bye.
Bye.
Commander, I'm at Oreen's cave. You need to get over here. Like, right now.
I'm on my way.
Alright, here's the big moment. This is what I ended part 1 thinking we were at. But indeed we weren't. Oh wow, that's very odd, I can't. So what do I do here? Do we fully indulge in End of Dragons once again and we skiff everywhere? I think we should, right? At least try to. For all the major moments. You'll notice I don't have a skin. There was an absolutely ridiculous Skiff skin that's in the game now, I've noticed. I actually think is amazing. So obviously I've not been playing, so I don't have anything. Jade Tech is what's currently for sale. The floating garden looks pretty. Don't know when that came in. This one's quite interesting. I did say back on my last playthrough that I think there's a lot of really fancy things they can do with the gem store as far as skiffs are concerned. And here's our first example of them being really creative. Look at this. This was the Winter's Day one, the Festive Iceberg. This was a random drop out of chests. And right now, I'm in a place with the game where I'm just so uninterested in all that kind of stuff. But, like, grinding out black line chests to try and get the lucky drop and stuff. I think this is a very cool idea for a skiff. I'm really curious what it looks like when you get a party of players on this. Like, where does everyone sit? Does someone sit on the stump and 2 people here and 2 people here? That's what I assume it is. I think it's great. If you remember in part 1, I remembered that about a year ago now, I was writing my own idea for how Guild Wars could have been handled differently. Like hindsight, the whole game. It's not a productive video or anything. It's just wanking off over how the game could have maybe been better if you know, if you had a time machine and you went back in time and you wanted to tweak Guild Wars as it was done through the ages. Well, since that video, since I mentioned that, I did actually spend some time on my laptop 2 nights ago, sort of just like rereading what I said. It's all pretty rubbish and fan fiction-y, and I don't know whether it's really good for a video. I don't know, there's too many like controversial mechanic ideas in there. I don't know, maybe I could cut it all out and maybe get a video in the end. But the one thing that I do feel very strongly, and I was reading it, what I'd put, and that's that, you know, if you were going to hindsight the development of the game, you just wouldn't have skimmers, would you, in Path of Fire? You wouldn't have that update. I mean, I can't believe they did the skimmer swimming underwater update right before End of Dragons. I mean, what on earth was that? That was while End of Dragons was in development. You know, you just wouldn't have had any water-based mounts at all. So that skiffs, when End of Dragons come out, really felt like they were tackling that frontier. But, you know, that's the classic thing with ArenaNet and Guild Wars. You know, I really admire that studio, and I really love the passion that they have. But I think it gets them shot in the foot all the time. You know what I really see ArenaNet as over the years? They're so ambitious, and they're so passionate, and they're so, like, big with all their ideas that they do too much. I know that sounds like one of those kind of really stupid, like, lame things to say, but it's genuinely true, you know? A bit of restraint at POF, so there was no skimmer, nothing touched the water, a bit of restraint, a bit of savvy, a bit of long-term thinking and just carefulness would have left the space in End of Dragons for the Skiff to be a real hit when it came out. But, you know, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to do everything, and they wanted to go big, and yeah, no, value for money, and everything should be right. And that's the most consistent thing about that studio and this game, I think, that has lasted for all the years. And it's very honourable and beautiful, but I think it's also one of these things that's kind of ended up dragging Guild Wars back in some ways over time. This is really weird, by the way. Why don't I have a... Oh, I do have a green dot. It's just merging with the map. Alright, so here we go. So this is the introduction of Su-woon. I still got to learn how the legendary works. How does this work? So I buy these with Tales of Adventures. I get Tales of Adventures daily from story journals. That's a really good system. What do you guys think the odds of a Void set are? You know, the idea you craft an Oreen legendary, and then you get every single variation for it, all 6 dragons, and then finally with all 6 dragons, Void unlocks. You know, it's like the Eternity setup, but for everything. I think that's such a cool idea, like the ultimate prestige. What a badass idea.
Ugh, Alchemy, you're here.
What's going on, Timey?
I don't know. Oreen and Kate,
They're fine.
June, what are you doing here?
I told you my Jade tech can help your dragon. So that's what I'm doing. Helping.
We were talking to Oreen when she went quiet all of a sudden. It's like she's sleeping, but not. I thought it could be a concussion from the fall, but then Kate, she fell silent too, while still standing. I don't know if she's being affected because of their connection or what.
All my tests show Oreen's magic levels are steadily improving.
Perhaps the extractor caused lingering side effects.
Maybe, but it's impossible to tell without the...
I love the way she gets cut off as well, halfway.
Hello?
Commander? Over here.
I'm wondering if I can just wait here for a second to look at the live chat. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm missing way too many messages. We had a Leviathan squad with 30 people, and one person had the iceberg. Everyone could fit on it, and we had a party waiting for the Leviathan. Fun stuff. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think about how the iceberg could be used for that kind of thing. 50-50. It makes sense for a long-term reward and prestige, but it depends on the artist who handled Oreen and all variants at the time to implement it. Yeah, I suppose so, obviously. Also, I guess there's a question of, like, how do you make the Void aesthetic as cool as possible?
Kate, where are we?
They're talking.
They're not just mortals. They're my friends.
I love that Kate's here too.
They're your flock. The shepherd watches and protects, but she does so in solitude. When I created the others, I thought, I don't...
This line I couldn't imagine what it meant before, but it means the dragons, not mortals or anything.
Elder dragons?
Yeah.
You're there. I was imperfect, you see. Attuned to water, but not the other elements. I thought my children would bring balance and harmony to the fabric of magic. But... then, what happens now? Su-woon.
Obviously that's a mic drop moment,
Now,
hearing her name for the first
take my
time.
place, little one. Consider what I've said.
That
like they're coming around.
Yes, this sucks. I wish I could pause
I thought
it.
it was contagious.
Please let me pause it. Nope.
That was the first elder dragon. The mother of all dragons. Isn't that right, Oreen?
Kralkatorik's mother. My great-grandmother.
What?
We'd spoken before. A few times. I didn't know who she was until we came here.
What does she want?
For me to take her place.
Take her place?
And become the one elder.
See this voice, man. It's too slow. It's too. I don't know. I guess she's injured.
It was Jormag, and we know how that turned out.
Su-woon isn't Jormag.
Can we be sure?
You can.
This little conversation here feels
Su-woon's been
obligatory.
Cantha's guardian since the Zaitan disaster. Or so goes the legend.
I need some time to think about this.
Of course.
Just another little issue the Icebridge Saga causes.
And whatever that extractor thing is, how did they get their hands on something capable of doing this?
Anka was a brilliant machinist, and that weapon was a Sura-made, but the technology's beyond even the Inquest.
That's because it's Canthan. I gave it to my Trin.
You hired them, didn't you?
I did.
You hired them? This is all because of...
I didn't know what they were capable of, or their history in Tyria. If I did, I never would have... I'm sure you have questions. Ask me anything.
I think they missed a trick here. With making June an interesting character, I think they missed a trick. They should have actually had it. Some, like, sneaky little concepts in there, like little notes or something that kind of suggests maybe she did know, but this was just another case of her, like, being arrogant and just forcing things through, you know? And here she's sort of saying, oh, no, I didn't know. But in truth, there is kind of that slimy side to it. I think that would have been really nice. But I don't think they go that far. They don't want you to dislike her to that degree. Oh, man, there was so much I had to say there. I don't know. A lot of this feels weird, really. Like, I do think it's a year down the line, and I will continue to say I think it was a mistake to try and do so many stories so fast, to make Su-woon the deep sea dragon and the ultimate elder dragon both at the same time just leaves this weird clunkiness, you know, like, so she was the first one and she was water, but why? And it feels like they just want to end all of this story and not talk about it anymore, which leaves that it's just like this weird floating concept now. It's like, are we ever going to establish why? I mean, what, is that just arbitrary that she was water? Why was the proto-elder dragon not fire or earth or whatever? Why is the water one capable of making the other 5, which get the other domains that somehow are equal but also not are equal? Yeah, it's just iffy, isn't it? And if you really want to stop and speculate about it, there's fun stories that might come out of it. Like, okay, so if Su-woon was there already and she's water, does she have, like, cousins or brothers or sisters that might have had the other elements, the other proto-dragons? And you see, you can keep going with it, you know, and that's actually a really fun idea, but again, it's just more Elder Dragon story. And it's because this didn't really close out well, really. You know, if they had taken more time with this, there could have been a dedicated story about a deep-sea dragon and then do the ultimate Elder Dragon later. You know, I think that ideas like the Void should have been getting breadcrumbed and, you know, teased at and from years earlier now. You can say, maybe... I mean, I don't know how people feel about this now, like proper lore nerds. I mean, I don't know who we've got in the chat here, but the idea of, like, was that void madness that we were seeing in the Sunqua Peak Fractal? Was it void madness and darkness we were seeing in the, I can't remember the name of it, but, you know, the Deljamore Mountain Fractal, the first Fractal that came out that I didn't do a lore video on. You know, are these breadcrumbs about Void? I feel like even in the main story, it would have been nice to have been having this go on for however long. It just kind of screams in a lot of ways, the clunkiness there and the sudden appearance of the Void that we'll get to soon. It does all feel very much like out of nowhere, oh fuck, we want to wrap this up kind of thing, you know, instead of like a really, truly long-term plan. I really hope that they've got a long-term plan for whatever they're going to next. I really hope they have. I hope there's a really nice internal wiki. I hope that everyone's on board. I hope they have, like, clear ideas. Anyway, there was lots else going on there. I can't really remember. Let's keep going. We don't need an epic conversation out of every little thing. I can go into anything. It's in my interest to be transparent. So hold on. You hired my Trin. You were working with her?
She was working for me. She's got Canthan ancestry, so she could walk among us. My guards caught her snooping around one of my power plants. She'd hacked my security system. I could have made her disappear. No one knew who she was, after all. But I was impressed at her resourcefulness, so I told her to come work for me. I need people who can find my blind spots, and I took a liking to her. She became my protege. Bit of a slow learner, but she worked her ass off. Whenever I tried explaining Jade thermodynamics, she struggled. But somehow she always figured it out. I could never put my finger on it. That woman was haunted by something.
Maybe all the people she killed at Lion's Arch.
Maybe.
I love that line. My Trin is one of the best things about this expansion, because for all the frustration I feel at My Trin becoming like a sad sack and like being totally recharacterized, I feel such a release and so good every time My Trin is like getting in her face and like rattling her. I really like My Trin's anger. And then it sucks again when that anger melts away. But, you know, for this little bit, I love these moments here. Why did you hire them?
I needed dragon research. As you're acutely aware, the dragon cycle threatens us all. And it turns out the best dragon researchers exist outside of Cantha.
Mm-hmm. She's got a point there.
The Aetherblades could go where I couldn't. That's why I needed Mai and her crew. I never asked them to kidnap anyone. I wanted to import talented researchers with their consent.
How'd they get here?
Apparently, they came out of the mists.
Which we know already, of course.
To have landed in the ruins of Old Kaining and not... Well, you saw what happened when you dropped in on Xingje.
You called Su-woon Cantha's protector. So this is an amazing story. I love this story. So just so that we're all familiar with it, the idea is that when the tidal wave from Zaitan's rising, let's open the world map for this. Zaitan rises because of ore, right? Tidal wave crashes. Now, we just have to suspend our disbelief here, but apparently it was strong enough to make it all the way here. Let's not question why they didn't care about it here or anywhere, right? Let's just suspend our disbelief. It keeps going, yeah, I know, it's a long way. It's all the way over here. Okay, it's going to hit the sea, right? Just, that's what happened. And there's this really cool story of Kunavang is like, oh, fuck, I've got to help these people. Kunavang goes, finds Su-woon, finally convinces her to help. That's the debate that you see in the first trailer. And then the two of them, you know, or Su-woon in particular, saves the bottom of the city. The top gets wrecked, but Su-woon saves it. And they do the big artifact here, the big monument. So the people of Cantha know her. And then she sort of vanishes and collaborates with June, but... I think that is such a cool story. It's such an amazing, awesome bit of backstory. And I love that the studio knew there wasn't going to be an actual cutscene of it in-game. It was going to get referred to. So they thought, well, let's do one of the trailers about it. That trailer is really cool. And, you know, the camera is the tidal wave or whatever. I think it's such a cool concept. It's still one of my favorite things about End of Dragons.
I suppose it began with the Zaitan disaster. The massive tidal wave of undead that came crashing to our shores. Worst calamity since the Jade Wind. Even 100 years later, with all our advances, we still feel the effects. Well, Su-woon is the hero of that story. Rising from the depths, turning back the waters and the dead. Poetic stuff. People say she formed a pact with Kunavang to protect Cantha. Salt spray dragon, local, hero in her own right. But, aside from a few rumors here and there, they've hardly been seen since. For Su-woon to reach out to Oreen so soon after her arrival, well, it's certainly a fascinating development.
It is very cool, and that dialogue there is brilliant. I hope that it doesn't go in one ear and out the other for new players as they encounter this. I think for me, if I was a totally new player, you know, I think it would, and I think, you know, it would struggle to go in, but it is good if you can get the facts concrete in your head. You know, it's funny, she calls My Trin a slow learner there. You know, I think, guys, it's just a bit of a side tangent here. I feel like I've sort of come to terms with the fact that I am a slow learner. Maybe I wasn't always, but I think I definitely am now. I think once I've learned a thing, I'm reasonably competent. But I think I am a bit... And that feels so insulting and shameful, but I don't know. Like, I was thinking if you were writing, like, a CV or something, you know, a cover letter applying for a job, it's one of those things everyone would always put, I'm a fast learner, I'm very keen. I don't think I can, in all honesty, say I'm a fast learner. I think I'd much rather go to an interview and say to someone, look, I'm actually quite a slow learner. But... you know, if I'm invested in the thing, if I care about what your company's doing, if I care about this, you know, the project, whatever the work is, You know, I will put the effort in. I will learn the thing. It's just, you know, I won't necessarily be too quick. I almost think that that's a more convincing argument. It's a more truthful argument. That's certainly true. Anyway, so where are they now?
June, the Aetherblades are planning something big. We need to track down my Trin before it's too late.
I only spoke with Mai, and usually on my turf. They have a number of hideouts across Kantha. In Xingje, I'd expect her to be hiding somewhere in Zendaijun. A cave, if I know her. My sources tell me the Ministry of Security's been looking for her, but somehow she's avoided detection.
I like this. It's kind of a repeat of the Aetherblade hideout.
But we've got experience with their bag of tricks.
Okay then. Marjorie, Gorik, let's finish this investigation.
Let me know when you find my Trin, Commander.
In fact, I wish that they'd been a bit more blunt about that parallel. Oh, there, that was another thing I was going to say. Kate's a bit weird in this X-Pack, in that she's here, and she should be, because she's that weird second parent role or whatever, but I don't really remember her doing much, does she? I mean, there's a suggestion she's fighting in the Mindscape later, isn't there? I'll see when we get there. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Kate's whole role, I already talked about it in part 1, but the fact that since Oreen can speak for herself, Kate's functionality as like a half Crystal Bloom, half Sylvari type entity is just a bit odd. But hey, at least they included her and had lots for her to do. I remember being really fascinated about Kate's role at the end of Season 4. When it seemed like... Do you remember there was that brief window at the end of Season 4 where it sort of felt like Oreen might be gone? She might have ascended and she might literally be gone. You know, Captain Marvel style. I think that movie had just come out at the time. And then we got into the Ice Blue Saga and Oreen was just around, you know, and sitting in the Eye of the North the whole time. Zendaijun here, I kind of like, you know, again, I really respect and I love how much thought that they put into the history and the conflicts with the Ministry of Purity and stuff. The problem is for me right now, I'm very hazy on a lot of those details. I can't remember exactly who led the forces on either side of this slaughter at the temple and what exactly the result was and stuff. I'll have to like freshen my memory on all that. That seems like stuff that Season 6 might go into. What I hope from Season 6, by the way, is not just like a new map or a new place to explore, but I'd love just plenty of content in the existing places as well. You know, I'm still bummed out that the Desolation never had an update, ever. There was never a moment we went back to the Desolation, even for a second. And even the map itself, this was, you remember, every Guild Wars expansion has a moment where, shit, we've run out of time. And the Desolation was it for POF, right? Like, POF was really good. After this scene, though, it's all very quick, and you just kind of just run through. I mean, if you didn't map comp the Desolation, if you're a new player just spamming story, you will spend such a tiny amount of time there. It's a beautiful place. I don't know. It's a gross place as well, so maybe it was a sort of calculated decision not to have people spend too much time there.
Marjorie, Gorik, find anything interesting?
We were monitoring comm frequencies to see if we could pick up any Aetherblade chat.
This is this achievement.
What we found were strange ultrasonic emissions in this general area.
You heard a funny noise.
Well, we can't hear it, but I believe that's the entire point.
The ultrasonic signal coincided with 2 Aetherblades entering this spider den. They vanished into thin air.
The spiders didn't attack them. Why? I believe it's because they were using the signal against them.
Okay, do you need me to go in there and kill the spiders?
Last time you did that, you drove an entire subspecies.
This is a great line as well.
I have a better idea. If I can match the signal's frequency, I can clear out the spider den without harming them.
Okay, just don't take too long.
Those very specific references to previously frivolous little comedic moments, I adore.
Just need to clean up this waveform.
Gorik?
Wait for Gorik, ... I'm gonna just go for this. I don't know how to do this achievement. How could I have missed that before? Find the marker?
Please.
Should we wait? I don't know. I mean, the entrance is somewhere over here, right? Am I just basically on a time limit to kill these things? And because I've dawdled. Alright, there we go. Sorry I killed one, Gorik. It's okay.
You are incredibly impatient.
Yes, to get to the bottom of this Aetherblade plot. Aren't you?
Of course. Sorry, I was... Let's find that entrance.
Even secret doors have giveaways. Let's take a gander.
Good gods, you wish they updated their grass texture. It's just a vanilla patch of grass with radioactive green. Really? I don't really think about some of that stuff anymore. I mean, there are definitely probably things that are... Definitely probably. Jesus. If I ever hear myself use that phrase, I know I'm waffling. Things that make the game look dated in terms of assets, that if they just swapped that asset, it would look alright. You know, later when we get to the Echo Valley, there's going to be a lot of stuff in the Maguma jungle, that was previously in the Maguma jungle that feels like, oh man, can you change that? Right, anyway, investigate the cave for anomalies. I don't know now, I'm scared. This here, by the way, there was an achievement to scan Marjorie. She comments on it, I think, if you do it right. Anyway, the entrance is totally here. Oh, hold on. It's a ground target.
Hey, look. Aetherblade marker here.
So what? Did I miss it up again? Tagging the tag? What do you mean Aetherblade marker?
It's a hologram made of hard light.
Oh, that one.
Whoever built this is a
oh, no. Hold on. I'm doing it again. Hold on. I see. I probably just need to use the special action on that marker on the wall. It just took the special action away from me. Let's do that again. Hopefully we didn't get a checkpoint. Well, hopefully we did, but just not too far along. Well, this time maybe I can go in and kill the spiders quicker. Oh, man, another donation. Thank you, guys. All you hope for season 6. Let's mute the dialogue while we're chit-chatting here. Oh, I pressed F7 there.
Strange ultrasonic emission.
All you hope for season 6 is Herotron gets a part in the story with how much everyone liked him in episode 5 of Living World, season 1. He can show Canthans how unpredictable, sassy, and heroic golems are. Yeah, I mean, more comedic characters, I think that's fine. Yeah, I'd be totally up for that. Do you know what I want, guys? I want 2 hotkeys. I want a hotkey that allows me to instant mute or unmute dialogue. Well, I want a hotkey that lets me just pause dialogue. And the other thing I want is I want a hotkey that I can hold down, and then when I use the scroll wheel, instead of zooming in and out the screen, it messes with the FOV. So what I can do is I can go first person, and while they're chatting, right? Not this. While they're chatting, I can just naturally... Oh no, it's going to be on this, isn't it? I can do this to like zoom in so we get a nice cinematic look, and then I can pull it back out, right? That'd be so good. Anyway, let's see how we do here. I'm not used to the F abilities on this whatsoever. Oh, I spent so long chatting there. There we go. Are you alright, Goric? I don't think I killed it. Oh, no, I did. I killed one. Sorry, Goric. Alright, here we go. Let's get the dialogue back on.
Aetherblade plot. Aren't you?
Of course. Sorry, I was... Let's find that entrance.
Even secret doors have giveaways. Let's take a gander.
You'd be shocked if we don't get banger-type conversations with Lee in prison during Season 6. I would like that. I don't know what I think about Lee anymore. I don't know whether I'm that interested in him.
Over here.
There we go.
Found an Aetherblade marker.
But hopefully they can do something good. I mostly just want to see him get assassinated in jail. I think that was my theory, wasn't it? That he'd get assassinated. That would be what kicks off the season. Like, and all of his blood will be drained. That was my theory. And that's going to trigger our guys to investigate, and we'll see where we go. So, remember that, guys. That's my theory about how the new season will start. Minister Lee dead within his prison cell, drained of all of his blood. His blood turned to sand or whatever.
We should be paying you for this master.
And we have to figure out why and how, and that's going to lead us to these vampiric...
Anyway, this forge is custom built. Impressive. But its emitter has a...
It's going to be a whole Epstein thing.
This would be short.
Yeah, he didn't kill himself.
A continuous combinatory assault should overload the forge. Try that.
Sorry. Oh, wait, this is where they teach us about combo fields, right? The weird thing about this build here, guys, is there's basic... I mean, we saw this on the last part. There is no combo field. Or is it a break... Well, there's no break bar on there. Oh, here we go. Combo help. Ask Marjorie to put one down. Oh, I do have. I have planar protection. Still, I don't have much, do I? Leeching?
Excellent work, Commander.
This is a nice little thing. I'd like to see the next expansion do more of this. where they're teaching you fundamental mechanics as we go along. Obviously, we had a little bit of that in the training area as well earlier. Jesus, I need to remember that dodging is a part of this goddamn build. I need to remember. The heal feels really odd.
We're as good as dead if we keep this up.
Timmy, it's me.
I don't know how much I like this right now.
There's definitely an Aetherblade camp in Zendaijun.
But I just gotta get used to it.
Just like I told you. I'm leaving now.
Wait. What?
Where are you going?
My Trin has a lot to answer for. And she's going to look me in the eye when she does. Commander, I'm on my way.
Yeah, Commander, she's gone.
We haven't cleared the camp yet. It could still be dangerous.
I'll go with her, don't worry. Timey, you stay with Oreen.
Not gonna argue with that. Stay safe, Commander.
I sort of wish this hideout sequence was a bit longer. It's only a couple of little rooms.
She's talking to her friend again. Bad advice. Based on old grudges and past glories. No imagination. In the mist, we had to repair our fleet. And we could only get the parts from ourselves. Our past selves. A lot of people want to kill who they were, but the parts they hate. I actually got to do it. It was disconcerting at first. Then, liberating. My Trin never did. It scared her. Should have known then.
It's just such a big story. I mean, it's nuts. It really is. I like that we dive a bit more into it here. In the live chat, do I think they'll do another training grounds tutorial area like on Saitang? Like the Saitang one in X-Pac 4? Well, yeah, I mean, my hope is... People in Spud were saying that player housing is a near certainty for the next expansion because it's the last big thing that the MMO can do.
Where is everyone?
This place definitely has more aether than blades. Oh, come on, nothing? Tough crowd.
No, I chuckled. And I'm not going to argue with that. I think it is, I don't know, the last big thing? Yeah, probably. I mean, really. I'm not going to argue with that. But the idea that that makes it in a certainty, I don't know. But what I really want for the next expansion is what I've wanted for every single expansion since Heart of Thorns, which at least added the Rev, which is a new race. And with that, a new map for that race, at least one, to level in. I'd rather 2 maps.
Was very clear.
Shh. Hear that?
If we're going to strike back at her, it needs to be massive, yes? It needs to be... We need overwhelming force!
I don't say...
What I'm asking you to do is follow orders! You kill her until she is dead. Then you repeat the process. Do you understand?
Oh god, I can't tell you guys how aggravated I get nowadays trying to talk about something and then just we have to whip our focus to something else because I've accidentally procced a bit of dialogue that I wasn't expecting. You know, I don't say 2 maps arbitrarily. It's because that's the thing. You know, it's like if you look at Char, you get 2 leveling maps really, or the Norn, it's 2, or humans, it's 2, and then everybody kind of met at Gandaren. So if you were going to do Tengu, I would say you would get 2, right, or more realistically 1 and then 2 here. Or if there would be Largo or whatever. I think that would be really good. And then, yeah, that's kind of a place that you can do a modern tutorial. And, you know, not to try out the same talking points over and over and over and over again, but that thing where the expansion has this very clear signal to players who aren't playing the game, hey, this is a new leveling experience, this is a new point for you to get in. That's very appealing to outsiders, and, yeah, for that reason, I still want it. I think it'll be really good.
Where is my Trin?
Commander. What, no dragon this time?
That's a sore spot we'll get back to in a second. Where is my Trin?
No. I swore an oath to my captain. I intend to keep it.
My Trin betrayed her closest friends. How do you know she won't betray you?
That's a lie. It was Anka. She started this. Her and Renyak and all the others. They broke their oaths, but not me. Not Ivan.
Ivan's great here. I love the fact that everyone mutinied, everyone abandoned her, and he stayed. He's great. Another vaguely comedic character, but very loyal. What about the, in the chat, what about bringing in the Heart of Thorns Guildhall feature that never was, that you defend it from invasions? I'm not excited about that in the slightest. First of all, I don't even... was that ever a thing? Really? I don't remember them ever saying that. They said there would be a capture the hall mission, which there was, which was essentially irrelevant and boring. I don't think that really adds anything to the game for existing players, for old players. I think it would be ridiculous just to add something because it was maybe alluded to a long time ago. I mean, look, I'll agree that guild systems could use a lot of updates, but that wouldn't be one of the ones I would suggest.
You say flaw, I say unique characteristic.
I think there's much better stuff they could do. Let's get the spear going. Oh, we have to combo again, don't we? Right, I remember. Go on, Marjorie, drop that. Can't we leap through that? Let's get the leeching bolt. Oh, her field expired. This took so long to cast that her field expired right as we were gonna... Oh no, maybe it did trigger actually. God, I've got so much energy. This is so bad. Oh yeah, that's weird. Spending energy, but you don't spend dodges on energy. Energy's gonna feel quite different on this, I think. Do you know what? I kind of want 2 great swords with one of them on a sigil of energy so I can just swap and spam. By the way, this skill 4, the block, is also quite interesting because it blocks a lot for a long time.
If you do, we can talk.
I won't betray her trust. I'm the only one left who can.
Okay, Marjorie, place this down, please. Also, quick dodges don't scale. This feels really, really bad. I'm not having fun at all. I've gone down there. The way I have it set up right now is just gross.
Hey, I can override his photon forge. Then do it.
It's clearly that I'm not using the abilities right. I mean, lunge and gain might. There's a lot of base damage.
I promise you, I won't break as easy as your Asuran friend.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
You're going to tell us where your captain is hiding, so we can have a civilized conversation.
I can't. I won't tell you where the key is.
Okay, there's a key. Let's look around.
That's a fun little moment too.
Shouldn't have. Of course, just open the door for them, why don't you? Stupid.
Oh, they reverted the change, so weapon swaps proc on legends again? Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I vaguely remember that they'd removed that at some point. I think it's in here, isn't it, the key?
There's nothing in there. In any of those.
Yeah, this is something I think ArenaNet are masters of as well. Having characters call from rooms outside where we currently are. There's going to be a funny moment in a second as well where Ivan shouts in from through a doorway or whatever.
I'm sorry. You were saying...
Commander, please, don't hurt her. It's not what you think it is.
Don't suppose you'd care to explain what that means?
It's not for me to say.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. And I'm so happy we finally got a really interesting dredge in the main story.
Real answers.
Captain Trin, show yourself.
The little tinkle of bottles.
Great. Now I've got the Dragon Champion, an ace detective Delacroix, here to tell me how terrible I am.
My Trin.
Wow. You just brought everyone, huh?
You can feel sorry for yourself later. What are you planning, Trin? Where'd you send your Aetherblades?
Ha! Me? Send Aetherblades? Why exactly would I do that?
I don't know. Why'd you order them to kill Oreen with that magic extractor?
It wasn't... I mean, I didn't mean to.
After all we've been through, everything I gave you, this is how you repay me.
See, but we know she didn't order. That's not how that scene played out.
You're right. You can't trust a pirate. I'm done.
See, these are all...
We should finish this now.
These are all good animations of her drinking from the bottle and throwing it on the ground.
What are you doing?
Prioritizing targets.
Stand down and let them go.
You are in no
Wow, that did absolutely nothing to that break bar. Wow. What have I got on Greatsword that does breakbar? Is the 5 breakbar damage? I don't honestly, I would not be surprised to see us struggle, as embarrassing as that is.
Beat you, Commander. Too many scores to settle at once. Just need a little help. Just a little more.
So this is fantastic here. I loved that she could commune with Scarlet. I really think that's awesome.
Spend a few years in the mist. You meet the most fascinating people.
And so there we can daze.
What's she doing?
Fuck's sake, she dodged. I'm not going to get this break bar down. That's such a big hit that she does there.
This is different. She's not in control of the spirit she's invoking.
I should probably staff 3 when she does that. Should I really stay on staff this whole time to get the 5 back? We're going to have to build 100 energy and then staff 5 and thingy at once, so screw that. Let's try and get used to using some more lucks and skills here, shall we? And see how they feel. She dodged our 5. Well, to be honest, she's not really doing much damage here. I remember this fight being a bit pathetic, to be honest, in our Christmas playthrough.
Lose again. God, Scarlet.
It's not her. It's a revenant echo.
We just dodge on the phantoms. 1, 2. I don't really even remember much about this fight here for the actual strike. I remember obviously there's the whole laser phase and that. Yeah, let's stack them up. I'm actually going to do it here. We're going to break her bar once. And we'll use dodges and autos in the meantime. Alright, I think we're okay. This is enough energy. Where are you, my Trin? 1. Yay! How satisfying. Let's use the elite while she's got the debuff on her.
You're taking too much!
She's losing control! If we don't stop it, it'll kill her!
She's too strong! Her voice! That...
I need to remember that I have that F2 as well. I'm not touching that ever. Little days? Is that enough? No? See there, I didn't have the endurance to dodge the shockwave because I've been using it for all of this. I don't know whether I want to use that just for quickness, but fine, I guess. Obviously, the way that I've got this set up a little at the moment is it's better for like lots of kills out in the open world because of the sigil. We have a crap ton of vigor at the very least. Oh, that was the one thing I didn't want to target. There you go, the 3's alright. You know, I just need to be quiet for a second and just... I really like actually having some consistent gameplay here. I think this is the most I've got to just be in combat as the Vindicator. I think that's always been a bit of a problem of mine with Guild Wars as well. I want more extended, like, just long combat sequences. I don't know whether they rate quite poorly, though, for most other people, but it really helps me to get to grips with the game and sort of enjoy what I'm doing. Especially if I'm playing something new. Really? That was our range? Okay. How many of these do we have to kill? The 3 comes back really fast, actually. No, not her! Jesus Christ. I've been playing something clearly that has changed my understanding of the tab target behavior. Oh, was that it? I was building up there. Alright, fine. Oh. This is the laser mechanic. What? Oh, was I just supposed to dodge that at the perfect time there? Oh, we are still in the fight. Jesus Christ. Regenning out of this, though. Fucking hell. Take advantage of the fact we're a rev and we have 2 heal skills. Well, that was quite cool, actually. Finishing her off with Imperial Guard. Dichotomy, we progress a little.
You think she could be behind this?
She died on the Breachmaker. Like Kaz said, that was just an echo.
I can't hear you. I can't... The laughing.
What's wrong with her?
Revenants can have a hard time tuning out all the voices from the mists.
Ritlock actually needed a blindfold at first. Something to help him focus.
Give me a minute. I'll come up with something.
Will you take care of that? I'll relieve the prisoner of her weapons.
I like how the animation probably plays out there. You see the weapons go away and stuff. It's fun little details like that that I hope as many people as possible notice. But, yeah, this thing with the blindfold's interesting, because I always kind of think of that whole Ritlock blindfolded, and then it doesn't really mean anything, and he just took it off eventually, as essentially an example of another one of those stories that didn't quite work out. So it's nice to see them, like, just openly talking about it more here in End of Dragons. It sort of makes it feel not quite so bad.
Make a good blindfold.
And it's a good idea here as well, to actually have a bit of a banner of the Aetherblades that she'll use.
Here, take this.
We actually get to see her put on.
Oh, thank you. It's quiet.
Mai, tell us what you ordered your Aetherblades to do. Where are they going?
They're about to attack one of your Jade processing facilities. But not on my orders.
You're their captain.
No, I'm not. Anka mutinied. Took my ships and my crew. Said I was emotionally compromised because of our history.
Anka staged a pirate mutiny.
Surprised?
Not in the least. How do we find her?
You can track them using the ship train.
Yeah, this. I like this so much. He's just been eavesdropping.
Hello? I'm still trapped out here.
It's very good, because it's so easy after the whole boss fight to forget that Ivan was out there.
Ivan! You didn't leave with the others?
And this is a tender moment.
Would I? When Ivan makes an oath, it's for life. Commander, you can activate that console. Find where the ships were last spotted.
Okay. Wait, what console? Oh, this one here.
That's a very
This is great as well. I love the usage of the map here.
Brainiac must have damaged the transponder.
The Guild Wars 1 map, to be
show
clear.
you the rough location, but that's it.
Somewhere around Kaining doesn't give us much to work with.
Anka wouldn't just attack any target. She knows what she wants. I can... Let me help.
Let you help? How about we help you into a prison cell? Or did you forget about...
That's
your
it, Marjorie.
attack on
Get in her
the Lion's
face. I love it.
No, I can't undo what I've done. But I can help you find Anka. Please, let me do this.
You think after today, we're going to trust a word that comes out of your mouth?
Jory, you're right. But Anka has to be stopped. Before we have another Alliance Arch here in Cantha.
Commander, what do you think?
We'll take my Trin with us, under careful watch. And Captain Trin, one wrong move out of view.
And you won't live long enough to wind up in Lion Guard custody.
I understand.
Also, I'm keeping your weapons.
I remember,
I'll talk to some of my associates. If this Anka is targeting Junlai Jade, we need to get ahead of it.
All right. In the meantime, we can head to New Kaineng and...
And get arrested for not having a travel permit? You're a Canthan bureaucrat's worst nightmare, Commander.
Sounds like you two should pay a visit to the Ministry of Transit.
All right. You go stop Anka, and we'll go to the Ministry of Transit and fill out some paperwork.
Ministry of Transit. Electrifying.
I really like the way they handle that as well, you know, the idea that there's a bit of busy work, and they don't try to hide it or anything, they just play around with it, you know, yeah, let's literally go do some busy work. It's a good little beat. I remember when I was first playing this was when, I didn't say it out loud, I think, in my blind playthrough, but it was around here that I started thinking, oh god, what are they doing with my Trin? It's clearly a story of redemption. It's clearly about her, you know, becoming sympathetic, and can she atone for what she did with Lion's Arch before. And I remember when I first saw it, I started to have some misgivings about what they were doing with this expansion. And I remember at first I was thinking, well, no, you know what, this could be really good. I really don't know what they're doing, because I was thinking of Ryland from the Icebrood Saga, which had obviously been the most recent story up to that point. And Ryland was just so well done, I think. It was so clearly, like, seemed to be telegraphing and following this tropey idea that, you know, it's the misguided carb who'll come around, blah, blah, blah. And then they just kind of told this really brutal, like, just flat black story that's basically like, no, this guy just made all the wrong choices. And that was it. And it was kind of, and he sort of became the big bad even over Banger. I thought so much of the Icebrood Saga, I really loved what they did with those characters. And I remember thinking, you know what, they might do something really good with Mitra in here. But in the end, I don't know, I'm just not sort of too into it, really. I think I remember very clearly in that first playthrough, you know, when the expansions first come out, everyone's vibing on it, everyone really wants to love it. You know, there is that impulse. People are watching videos and stuff because they want to have fun, you know. And I remember when we got to Kaineng, there was finally a moment where I said, oh god, she's a bit of a sad sack. And I remember people really didn't react well to me saying that. But I don't know, I stand by it. I think she is a bit of a sad sack. She drains the fun out of the room, is what I think I said. And I still feel that, I think.
Chat?
Of course.
Anyway, sorry, they were talking more there. I think, guys, what I need to do is play purely text-based games. No voice acting, text-based games where I can control every bit of dialogue that comes up. That way I can squeeze any rant I like in for any duration and it won't matter. Okay. Let's take a taxi. I haven't done one of those for a while. Pretty sure they'll take me straight up to the Dago ward. Hello? East route or west route? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by a toe. If it yells, let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. When in doubt, that's always the rhyme to do. The funny thing is, I bet that there's a way of just knowing that there's an odd number of words in that or an even number of words in that, so you can always predict where it's going to end. I've never committed that to memory, though, so it's satisfying nonetheless. WP plays Zork. I've never heard of Zork. What's Zork? You like it from the perspective of she used to be a pain in her ass and now she's basically a washed up nobody. Her efforts amounted to nothing. Yeah, I like that as well, actually. I think in principle that is a fun story too. It's just, I think what I'm really looking for is a little bit less tortured character stories with lots of crying and blah, 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 and sort of crushed, sad, regret, blah, blah, blah. I think that that's important to have in certain amounts. But I think the surface of the adventure at most times should be a little bit comedic, a little bit light. I wanted a swashbuckling scoundrel with a bit of an edge. I think that story, I think, that kind of company is what I most enjoy. And that little bit more levity there. And a little bit of tension amongst the characters. Just like this whole Mitra and Marjorie thing here. And it's really good. I think it's electrifying. It's lots of fun when Marjorie's getting in her face. But very quickly, that sort of goes away with Mitra in here. And she just becomes a little bit of a drag and a bit. And I think, you know, when you only have limited screen time as well, you've got to get the... I just don't think the balance is quite there. But maybe that's just me. You know, you don't want it to be overly cartoony. I think there's this really difficult thing as well as a writer where you really fall in love with your characters and you really get in their heads and you really understand what drives them and what emotions they're feeling and you really want to get that across. So there's a lot of emphasis on you know, their long monologues about what's their true heart's desire and this, that and the other thing. And I think quite often the audience is not in the place that the writer eventually is in, you know. The audience is much more laissez-faire and relaxed about it, and so then some of these scenes end up feeling a bit too weighty and a bit too in your face. And
as of right now,
you know, it's a thing where less is more quite often, and that's really hard to do. Anyway,
can we trust her? It's my understanding she led these pirates.
That's a good question. We'll be keeping a close eye on her. What I wanted to ask you is, can we trust June?
Her relationship with the Aetherblades is a concerning matter. One she'll have to answer for. But Madame June is not a traitor. Empress N is certain of this.
Understood. Well, I have to get a trade deal in front of Minister Ishikawa soon.
Please apprise us of any Aetherblade developments.
See, again, this was all fascinating to me on my first playthrough. I loved not knowing who's the prick here. Lee? Is June actually, you know, really bad? I mean, we've heard terrible things about her. And look, even Casimir's prying about it a bit. We know that she was in cahoots with the Aetherblades to a degree. We've heard some rough stuff. And the idea that she's just been let off the hook because of, you know, her half-sister being in charge. These are all really fun ideas. And then essentially just become nothing in the end. It's just, oh, no. And I don't know whether to applaud that for my first playthrough I was at least thinking it, or lament that in the end it became nothing. I don't know. Anyway, this is also amazing. I think this was so cool. This totally caught me by surprise. Navan here. So look how elegantly they've done this. They've got us talk. They've talked about Kunavang. Mentioned that Kunavang is missing. You don't have to be a Guild Wars 1 player. Even Guild Wars 2 players have been introduced to the concept. And now Navan is here. And her name being the middle of the word. I mean, it's just so good, isn't it? This whole thing of Kunavang hiding in plain sight blew my mind. That mission at Arborstone. I really love this part of the expansion.
The ambassador was just updating me on your encounter, or lack thereof, with the Aetherblades.
The one called Anka staged a mutiny. We just missed them.
You have an intriguing air about you, Commander. You fail continuously, yet it does not seem to impact your morale. Your efforts have been remarked upon. The Empress appreciates all you've tried to do.
I'm not finished yet. Once we get to New Kaineng, we'll deal with the Aetherblades.
We have every faith in you. Now, please excuse my brevity, but there are matters here that demand my attention.
Anything I can help with?
I'd focus on getting your transit documents first. Though, should you later have a spare moment, perhaps I'll avail myself of your generosity. Xingjie is the model of serenity, but it has its issues. Naga raids, purists, and spiritual hauntings, to name a few.
That line seems weird, like we should have almost got it much earlier. Yeah, it's so weird, isn't it? It's sort of brain-breaking in a way, but in a really pleasant way to me, to think that I'm talking to Kunavang about transit documents. Like, it's such a weird thing, but I like it.
So, I guess we're working with my Trin now.
Never thought I'd see the day. Do you suppose we can trust her?
What choice do we have? She knows Anka. And for what it's worth, I felt she was sincere back there. She's committed terrible acts. The people of Lion's Arch deserve justice. But it has been 8 years. There's gotta be space for people to change, to grow. We're all learning to be better people, right?
Maybe.
Well, I just want to say, thank you, Commander. I can tell you're trying to be more diplomatic lately.
Whatever I can do to make your job easier.
I like the thought that he's just sort of gnashing his teeth or whatever, and he's like, at least you're trying to be more diplomatic, failing miserably, but you're trying. I can see there's a little bit of effort there. Hard relate to that. In my playthrough, I questioned if she was Lissa and poll chat to see whether they figured it out. Honestly, I doubt people would ever. I mean, what value would a poll like that be? Some people might have, but, you know, if you don't tell someone there's something to figure out, I think they'll just sort of passively enjoy the story and then eventually be like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's not like they set this up and said, Kunavang is a mysterious character you're going to meet. Who is it? You know, that would be far too easy.
Please
this is a great sequence here.
And we will call on you shortly.
I wish I had the thing where it was like every chair full. But again, there was the mega server thing, I think, sort of slowing this down a bit. It was nice playing this as a party. Oh, wait, sorry. I needed to take my number first. Failed in the most basic instruction. I love being a Norn here as well, like, too big for the chairs.
Serving number 9. Ugh, about time. I've been waiting all morning. I ought to complain to your manager.
So sorry. Let me help you process your paperwork, and then I'll help you file a customer complaint.
I love this thing of a Tengu sitting here.
Number 43. Step right up.
I just moved and was told to file a change of address with the Ministry of Transit.
The fade to black, the sleepy, the Zeds, it's all very good.
Green form. The change of address form is more of a lime green or chartreuse.
Please! I've been here for hours!
Number 153, it's your turn. Please step forward.
153. I'm here. I'm here.
All right, brilliant.
Transit permit to New Kaining? Sure thing. Just fill out this form for me, please.
I quite like the Norn voice there. Here there was an achievement I missed last time. I must have been messing around and just being a goofball. But if you answer this all really nicely and cleanly, you get an achievement. Pay special attention to fields 3x12 and 53C. Those always trip people up. Right. The travel documents have a number of fields that require filling out. The first of these fields asks you to enter your name. So I can say my name, Commander, Logan, or Grand Poobah. Let's mess around again. Let's say we're Logan. I think that's what I did last time, actually. Or the first time. The next field on the travel papers asks you to fill out your race. I'm a Quaggan. The last field asks us to declare our purpose. Just the experience.
Oh, thank you. Well, okay. I'm sure you wouldn't lie on a government document. It'll take an indeterminate amount of time to process your transit permit. Then you're good to go. Please enjoy the local sights while you wait. Seriously, it might take a while.
Brilliant. Oh.
Rama, are you still listening in on our calls?
Not willingly. You really need to use a more secure frequency.
Well, while I wait for these transit permits to clear, is there anything I can do to repay my debt to Cantha? Navon mentioned she was swamped. Thought I could help.
That's actually... I'll be honest. At this point, we need all the help we can get. I appreciate it. Thanks.
I like all the random little, up on the top right there, it said, figure out what to do with yourself.
Hello, I am the
It's easy to miss if you're just listening to the dialogue that they're giving you right here and now. By the way, I like the Dago Ward. I remember really enjoying the expansion at this point on my first playthrough. By the way, the meta's up right now. And that would actually trigger this very quickly for us. So let's have a quick look here at End of Dragons, Saitung, Big Water Cat Farm. That sounds ridiculous. So nobody's queuing for the meta. I don't know what population's like. I would love to read in chat what you guys make of all that. You know, how populated is stuff? Have things thrived? Have they not so much? I mean, we still see lots of players around, which is nice. I would really love to do the meta at this point. This is actually perfect timing. But in truth, I think we've just got to... I mean, what's probably the most effective way for me to do this here? I think we can go and do this heart, because that's going to double up as the Skiff acquisition or whatever thing very soon. Actually, do you know what? I've just had a really good idea. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop it here because it is getting late. Generally speaking, I want these parts to be a bit longer than this, but I didn't record Final Fantasy until quite late today, and I got to this one quite late. So let's stop this episode here, and between episodes, I'll fill this bar up. All right, that should be pretty good. Hopefully this is still fun for you guys to watch. And again, can I just remind people, if you want to do the strikes, what would be really cool is on the next part, I'll open up and talk about how my Trin CM went. That could be awesome. So if you guys want to play it, we're looking for 8 people who want to meet up for 2 hours, just in the evening, and just play and prog the CMs, and we'll get at it each evening, and I'm sure we'll make good, quick, fast progress. Anyone is welcome. Join click the link to the Spud Discord. There's a text channel in there where our leader will be watching, and you'll get a build, and we can play together. I think that could be really, really fun. And if we get the 8 people today, then we can start it tomorrow. If we don't, then we don't. But so we'll see. And I'll fill this bar up. I mean, we've already made pretty good progress here. I kind of want it to be a Kaineng already, but we'll get there at the start of the next part. Honestly, we're so close to it. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Thanks for the chat. Please, I've missed a lot in the live chat again. If you guys said anything you think's interesting or you want me to see, please do feel free to post it as a regular comment, because I will see those much clearer. And I can give you guys a response. I can screenshot them. Oh, wasn't there another screenshot? Did I read both messages? I think I had a whole other message. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, this person here talking about season 6. When the Norn and Asura want to return home as ideas for more stories. Yeah, like we could go to Mirror Tyria and they could do all that stuff. I would. A lot of people said, you know, they don't want to see the game go all mist and all, you know, alternate realities and stuff. I think there's a very good case for an alternate reality version of Tyria that never ever had Elder Dragons. I think that there could be a lot of really fascinating stuff there. But, you know, this point as well that, you know, maybe there's still stuff on regular Tyria to do. I think that's a good point. Norn returning home is a bit weird. I don't know whether I'm that excited about seeing the Norn go slightly north into the far Shiver Peaks. Though, admittedly, the Icebrood Saga didn't really give us much of that territory. So it's a fun thought. The Coden homeland going really far north is kind of interesting to me. And the depths of Tyria, the Asura actually returning to the depths, finding latent surviving civilizations of Asura that we never saw before is great. I've always liked the idea of a twin thing where it's the depths of Tyria and the depths of the unending ocean at once. Lagos and, you know, Asura pairing or something could be quite kind of cool. So yeah, I do very much believe in those. I thought that was a good point and very well written in the very economically written, let's put it that way, very few words. So yeah, I thought I'd highlight that. Anyway, there you go, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoy, and I will see you on the next one very soon. Obviously there'll be more Tomb Raider and Final Fantasy in the meantime. In fact, Tomb Raider as a series is about to finish, so I've got another new project coming up soon, and I was a little bit cryptic at the start of part 1. I suggested to you guys I have another Guild Wars idea. That's on the horizon also. So thank you guys. Take care now. And I'll see you soon.